I was really curious about that because I was thinking you guys have so much experience already doing it, and especially so katong when we did that round Cebu ride, no, and then you saw those people didn't vaccinate by their kids, and I'm guessing it's because it's some monetary limitations. They just can't afford it, that whole thing. And I was thinking, now with the whole COVID, uh, right now, but with the COVID pandemic, Murag, it's probably going to be pretty much the same, right? In terms of what you guys have been doing. Also, there's going to be people like in the city, like me and Murag, the vaccines available. Oh, of course, we get it right away. I mean, assuming it's safe and everything, no? But there's going to
Mm-hmm,
be
mm-hmm,
people sad nga, who just don't have that luxury, right?
mm-hmm.
And it's one of those things where we need to get everybody involved. No, I
Yes.
don't know if there's anything that you guys have learned in terms of kanang, using vaccinating the polio, that might be that experience can be transferred to vaccination for COVID once the vaccination is actually there.
I think it's more of the fact that Rotary already has the data, already has the infrastructure. We already know who to contact and the data. But of course, it still needs further study because the vaccine, the cost of the vaccines and stuff like that for COVID, right? So they're really working on it, but they are confident because we already have the infrastructure, we have the data, we know who to go to, and of course, it will be in partner with the same people like WHO, hopefully. But this is like my own understanding. But they just talked briefly that later on that is also the plan for Rotary to help with the vaccinations for COVID as well.
Yeah, that makes the most sense. I mean, is it true? So you guys are the only ones who have been doing that polio vaccinations?
It's with partnership with WHO,
Okay,
CDC,
yeah.
and UNICEF, right? So it's not just Rotary itself, but it's a team effort,
But
and
Mm.
hopefully,
Carlo,
yes, go on.
yeah, on the contrary, when we did a round Cebu last year, if you remember, we actually also worked closely with the OH.
Mm.
And for us in the city, you mentioned, diba, in the city, if we have a newborn, we pay immediately for the vaccination. But for the countryside and for the urban poor, Department of Health gives out the polio vaccine for free. And their biggest concern at the time that we were discussing with them last year, pre-pandemic, was there were no takers. Nobody. They did
Mm.
not get enough participation. They did not get enough people to go to the barangay health centers. And therefore, it's a chicken and egg story. If there's not a lot of people there, why will you send a lot of vaccinations, diba? So last year when we did the End Polio Ride round Cebu, our goal was pretty clear. No, we made sure that the awareness was there. Number two, that the polio vaccine is safe. Okay, there were a lot of people that really didn't want to have vaccination for fear of any side effects. I think it was also an aftershoot of the dengue vaxia scare that happened. So where the funds that we did last year, it was totally different from the fundraisings that Stephen is trying to provide. So in a more holistic approach, when you give to the End Polio Fund of the Rotary Foundation, we are actually trying to eradicate polio worldwide. Meanwhile, any funds that we disburse locally from our club, from our partners, from our sponsors, they go to the logistics of being able to organize events to create awareness that the polio vaccine is safe. So when we did around Cebu last year, it was our way of symbolically telling Cebu Island, nga, hey, get yourself vaccinated. Here we are going around the whole island trying to show you that, you know, here's a group of 22 cyclists who did the polio vaccine and we're all okay, we're all fine. And apart from that, behind the scenes, what the riders did not know was it took a lot of time to be able to organize talking to LGUs at that time to make sure that we bring in a lot of parents to bring in their children. So
Mm.
that's why one of the pakulo we had was katong the loot bags that we were giving out because it was nearing Christmas also. So it
Mhm.
was one of the ways of being able to entice people to come join us. There were some games that they organized while we were still headed to the ride. So contrary to what you thought last year, All of the vaccines were provided by Department of Health,
Mm.
and the participation of Rotary Club of Cebu at the time was really to make sure, number one, there's a lot of people that will go, a lot of people that have their vaccinations done. Number two is to make sure that we create so much noise to tell everyone, the whole island, that the polio vaccine is really safe. And number three, the pledging, which in which Stephen is in our club is in charge, goes to a goes to actually to a greater good, a more holistic approach of really ending polio long term, not just in the island.
Yeah, well, but that's interesting, no? Like, kanang going back to, let's say, like COVID-19, no? So there's this is the polio vaccine. That vaccine has been out for what? How many years now? Like
60? Mga 60 years na.
60
Yes,
years.
60, 70
70,
Yeah.
years.
And then
60,
you
70 years.
can,
70.
like,
70.
60, 70 years. And then there's still skepticism. I mean, like kanang, 'di ba? And then just kanang in a sense nga, like, just people are not, even not in just the Philippines. Like, this is also true in the US, 'di ba? You have those anti-vaccinators. And
Anti-vaxxers, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And then I can't I can only imagine, hopefully months from now, once the COVID-19 vaccine comes out, that there's gonna be also, syempre, a lot of speculation in terms of, you know, how safe it is, and
Yeah.
probably in a way it is to be expected, no? So, kay, it's new and everything. So I suspect it's probably going to be very similar in that sense.
Well, if just my 10 cents worth, you're right. There's a lot of anti-vaxxers out there. And to be honest with you, I think it's also important to be able to know who these people who are anti-vaccine people are. What are their credentials? I mean, like for one thing, my wife is a pharmacist. She went to school to be able to learn about all these vaccines, and I don't think that how many million medical personnel in the world, doctors, pharmacists, nurses, will continue to be in that profession if they feel that the medical breakthroughs, which are vaccines, does not work. Of course, there's always a hit and miss, but as far as polio is concerned, we know, it's pretty safe already. I mean,
For sure.
what are the chances? COVID, we really don't, I honestly don't have
Yeah.
any
Data
experience
on
with
that.
that.